Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Tania. I'll be your astrologer. Today we are going to discuss the energy of March together, the good, bad, and ugly. Now, to really set the tone for March, you have to consider that in February we had a solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius. That eclipse brought up an energy spike, radical change, sudden realizations. Like it was electrifying. Now, on March 3rd, 2026, we're going to have a lunar eclipse. It's going to be a full moon eclipse in the sign of Virgo. Now, Virgo is here to bring order to the chaos. It's about organizing all the things that we shook up. So that's really the essence of March. It's about sustaining yourself through change. So this eclipse season is not about dramatic movement and manifestation and stories. I actually think we need to simplify it. And March is about real sustainability, peace, happiness, health. All of that I feel does not need to be manifested. It is something that we just consciously create more of through these micro corrections in our life. And that is what this eclipse in Virgo is trying to help you do. It asks you, how will you survive the changes? How will you stabilize yourself while everything around you is shifting? Are you as good on the inside as you are appearing to be on the outside, and vice versa? And we're going to discuss each dimension of these questions throughout the rest of this video. My intention is that by the end of this video, after hearing the moments of empowerment and maybe the moments of stress from this eclipse, you'll have an idea of how to work with it and how to sustain yourself through the changes. So the core theme of this eclipse is micro corrections. Those small changes actually create more flow in your day-to-day life. So this is about refining your rituals, your habits, your routines, how you spend your money, because this will determine your long-term stability. So the empowerment to this is that we get really precise with where we spend our energy in our day-to-day life. We really refine our systems so that way they actually work for us instead of us working hard to upkeep that system. We're redirecting our energy to places where we get something in return from it. There is this healing here between output and input, which creates sustainable momentum for us. And I think there's also this ability to build stamina through the disciplines that you are implementing, through the systems that you are implementing. Now, the shadow side of this is overanalyzing and stressing every single detail. That could be exhausting to constantly self-edit. There could also be perfection paralysis where you kind of freeze up and you get stuck because you're just overwhelmed by all the many changes that need to be made. And then we can kind of lose sight of the bigger picture here. So I think a core thing to remember is to keep it easy, keep it simple. One thing at a time, one day at a time. Maybe choose one small improvement that you are going to make in a day, in a week, in a month, or whatever, and just stop there. And then don't add on until you really honed in whatever improvement you are trying to make, and let that be enough. And that momentum will build upon itself. Those habits will stack, and you will eventually find that flow state that you want to be in. And I think that's a really key part of Virgo and Pisces energy is flow state. Pisces is the intuition. Virgo is the technicality. When the two of those things mix, you're in flow state. And I think that's why people found that video of the Olympic skater who won, Alyssa Liu. That video of her, people found it so enchanting because that's what flow state looks like. The technicality, but also just the intuition, the surrender, the flow. I think we're all looking for a little more of that in our day-to-day lives. Now, the next major theme of March is going to be resource recalibration. A lot of you are changing jobs. A lot of you are moving homes. A lot of people are, gaining and losing resources, gaining and losing, important members in their community that really helped with resources. And there's this core question though, regardless of what you're going through and who you are, the core question is, what do you keep? What do you release? And how are you going to use what you keep? And this applies to money, time, attention, relationships, your physical space, your energy, the beliefs that you choose to keep, the emotions you choose to keep. What do you hoard in your nervous system? And so I think the empowering side to this is that we're going to be a lot more conscious with our budgeting and where our energy and resources go. We're going to, I think, strengthen what truly supports us and what is worth the time, energy, and resources. And then we will strategically eliminate all of the waste and what was draining us, like pruning the plant. And I think we're also redefining what security means to us. And I think that can get really creative and unconventional. Pluto and Aquarius energy is to walk an unconventional path. And I think more of us are doing that because our society is changing and things are crazy out there. And we are having to adjust to it, and we're going to have to get creative with it. But I think that could be very empowering, and I think that could really bring art back to life. That could really spark people creatively. The best art comes from like this lived experience, and I think we're just gonna get better art because of it. So I think that's the empowering side to all this. Now, the shadow side obviously is going to be scarcity, and your mentality around it. Or it's going to be, looking at it like it's scarcity, or looking at it like you are contracting so that way you can conserve your resources and invest them in places that'll actually grow you more. Again, it's mentality. I think another shadow side will be like fear and clinging on to things really stubbornly out of fear, even though it's outdated and it doesn't work for you. There's like this refusal to pivot. There's this refusal to change something that no longer fits. Or everything you release, you want to intentionally reinvest that into something that expands you. Like kind of use this as an opportunity to build a better ecosystem for yourself. That is how I would describe this. Use this as a better opportunity to literally rebuild the ecosystem, so that way like everything feeds into everything. It's more maybe like communal, or it's just more automatic or automated. Some of you might have to be doing that maybe in terms of business and stuff too. Now, another major theme of this energy is that it's very instinctual when it comes to the decision making, and March is a month where you have to make decisions, because April you need to get going. We kind of have had our first quarter of the year to have our head down in reflection mode, really seeing what we want to do with the year. Come April, come spring equinox, we're going to have an stellium in Aries going, it's go time. Like it's go time. So March is your time to make those decisions. I think what's important here is that you are needing to make decisions from the present moment, meaning like you really have to watch your past conditioning. Okay, because the reason why that's important is the past, especially anything that happened before 2020, is no longer relevant. It's literally no longer relevant. So it does not make sense to make decisions based on that conditioning. But that conditioning, it lives in our nervous system, it lives in our subconscious, it lives in our habits and patterns. So a lot of the decisions you are making, you might have to be breaking out of those patterns and those cycles and those habits. And you're going to have to work from imagination. Okay, 0 degrees of Aries, absolutely no context to work with. We are the context. We're creating the context now. We're creating the history now. And we're going to pull it from imagination. That is literally Neptune, Saturn, conjunction energy. This new world we're creating, I think it really comes from this human place of creativity. And so you need to trust your internal authority. You need to trust that feeling, that call. The empowering side to this, I think that people will be courageous, and they're going to start acting from a place of inner alignment. And I think they're going to choose direction instead of staying in the same loops over and over. And they're going to choose to move forward despite the uncertainty because they have faith. They have faith in themselves, or they have faith in higher power, whichever resonates more with you. But you just have faith that you're going in the direction that you need to go. And if it's not faith, then it's heart. Just trusting this, what lights you up, following your heart. Now, the shadow side to this would be waiting for perfect timing, waiting for perfect clarity. I don't think we're going to have that. This energy says, I'm summoning your ass right now. This energy says, you got to get up and go. I know it's not perfect, but it's time. So that could be like a shadow side is that. And also like refusing to make choices and just being stuck at the crossroads. Like sometimes you just got to choose, and you got to understand whatever path you choose, that is the exact path you need. Forget the other one. This is the exact path you're going to focus on. And it's the one you needed to be the best. And that you're just going to make the best of it too. And also there could be like an anxiety and a confusion that comes with staying stuck at that crossroad. That could be just like draining energy unnecessarily. And you call your energy back and you move on from it by simply making the decision. So give yourself maybe like a clear window. Like, I need to make my decision by this day. Gather the facts, and choose based on what feels expansive. What feels expansive for you, what logically makes sense. I wouldn't get too emotional over it. Which, we have this whole, Pisces cluster building up. So I get it being emotional, but I think the emotions that come up, it's more of like a purge. It's more of a purge. Let it come through, then let it go. Okay, don't over-identify with it. Because March comes with a lot of just sacred endings. It's giving like dark, divine, feminine, death as initiation, spiritual rebirth through surrender kind of energy. You know what I mean? Like, it is heavy. If you think of the process of giving birth, right? It starts first with the empty womb. And so I think that a lot of us are like contracting in that way, making things as simple as possible. And then you're kind of like in your conception phase. And that's where we're in right now. That's what March is the conception. We haven't quite given birth yet. We're still cooking. And that's okay. Like, let it cook. Let the water come to the full boil, let that project cook. Let your battery recharge to 100% before jumping into it. Like, that's okay. And if you are in that point, that like gestation point still, and you're getting angsty, I want you to remember that, you do not want to rush this process, right? We want to come out with a nice, healthy project, baby, whatever we're working on, whatever we're trying to birth, ourselves, a new version of ourselves. We want that to be healthy. So like, we got to give it time. We're still in winter, babe. Like, I think we're still here to like release our identities, release what does not serve us, emotionally mature, come to closure with things, transform our pain into wisdom. I know it sounds so cheesy, and we're over it. And we're over it because Neptune was in Pisces for 14 years, I think. So we have been dealing with these themes of like stepping into a new stage and like spiritual transformation for the last 14 years. Like, we are fucking tired, and I get that. But I think the fog is still dissipating, so give the fog time to dissipate. And it's been a 14-year long journey too at that. Like, we're tired, right? So like, let yourself rest, let yourself recharge. So I feel like that's also like kind of maybe like a major tender point here, is that initiating and starting something new versus like, I'm still shedding the old, I'm still shedding some emotional stuff, I'm still cutting the cords. That could be like a confusing thing to balance. But, we're all moving through it. And I think that it's just important to really ritualize a goodbye. Maybe write a letter, burn it, whatever you want to do. And then that's it. And then you gotta let it go. You just gotta move forward from there. Another thing I absolutely love about this energy is we have this stellium in Pisces joining us for the eclipse. We have Venus there, Mercury is there, Sun is there, and Mars is there. That's all the personal planets, which means we feel this eclipse very personally, and this eclipse will impact almost every area of our life. Because Venus is here, we can look at the house Taurus and Libra rules. That will experience this new beginning because it's with the North Node of growth and expansion. Mercury being there will then impact the houses that Virgo and Gemini rule. And those houses will also experience a new beginning. Sun is there, so the house Leo rules will experience a new beginning. And then Mars is there, which is the ruler of Aries and Scorpio. So those two houses will also experience a new beginning. I think it's also interesting how Venus, Mercury, and Mars are also planets that rule over two zodiac signs. So like we're packing a lot into this North Node Pisces energy and this new beginning there and this upgrade and this change and this growth and this expansion. Now on the opposite end, we have the South Node and we have Moon there. And Moon rules over Cancer. And so the house Cancer rules will be experiencing a release, but also Virgo because the Moon and the South Node are in Virgo. Those two houses will be experiencing a release and redesign is what I think when I think of Virgo energy. Like you let go of what doesn't work and you kind of re-piece things together in a way that does. And I get this image of like, oh, there's this crystal, I forget what it's called. I'll put it on the screen. I like a photo of it on the screen. But this crystal, it like grows in layers and essentially goes through trauma, but it just grows through that trauma. And you can see like the layers of it. You can see each layer for every trauma it had. And that's kind of the image I get when I think of this Cancer energy and this Virgo energy and this healing and this redesigning. I'm also getting the image of like an arrow, like you kind of have to pull back in the houses that Cancer and Virgo rule, pull back in those areas so that way you can like slingshot in the house Pisces rules and, you know, the houses that are ruled by Venus, Mercury, Sun, and Mars as well. It's also interesting to me that we have the South Node in Virgo and Moon is also there. Now, the South Node typically deals with loss, but the ruler of that is a Mercury in Pisces, which is in that stellium with the North Node of growth. So I think the house Virgo rules is extra special where it experiences loss and growth, but I think the loss comes first. The release has to come first to make room for that growth. Also, the North Node is an uncomfortable, unfamiliar energy to work with. So that house that Pisces rules, yes, you are going to grow in that house, but it will be uncomfortable. It will be unfamiliar, and you will kind of have to figure it out and be out of your comfort zone. And the planets involved and the houses that they rule and the growth that happens there will also be uncomfortable and unfamiliar. So yes, expect yourself to have to wing it, be on the fly, figure it out, try new things, experiment. This is what creativity is about. I think the world is tired of part twos and nostalgia and like recreating things that have already been done. And we feel like we're at this point where everything that can be done is done, and that's not true. And I think that's what the stellium in Pisces is activating, is the human imagination and what can be brought to life through the human imagination. And like I said, that starts first with experimentation and just trying new things out. Get out of the comfort zones. Now, the moon and the South Node in the sign of Virgo tells me that the house Virgo rules is going through some type of death and rebirth. The house that Cancer rules is experiencing some kind of karmic weight being dropped or a karmic loop being broken out of. Now, the Pisces stellium, having Venus, Mercury, Sun, the North Node, and Mars there, is going to impact the houses Pisces rules, Taurus and Libra rule, Scorpio and Mars rule, and Gemini rule, because their planetary rulers are involved in this eclipse, right? Now, the house Pisces rules, I think that is a key place of focus in order for all of these areas of life to grow, because we're dealing with North Node energy that is moving forward, growth, being in an untapped, unfamiliar area. So the changes and growth that happen in those houses that I mentioned, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Now, the house Taurus and Libra rule, I think that's going to go through some type of makeover and beautification. Venus and Pisces is wonderful, strong energy, so I could see wonderful changes happening there, even if it's a tough initiation at first. Now, the house Scorpio and Aries rule, that's ruled by a Mars in Pisces. This, I think we're still shedding old skin here. I think the house Scorpio and Aries rules is still going through this spiritual cord cutting. Now, the house Gemini rules, I think that we're receiving a lot of psychic downloads and visions, right? Because it's ruled by Mercury in Pisces. Now, although Mercury is debilitated in the sign of Pisces, the strength of it's very psychic energy. So I think that house Gemini rules, there's lots of downloads, visions, ideas coming through that house. So stimulate it perhaps, or channel it. And I'm going to kind of break down what that means for your specific zodiac sign. So make sure to check out the horoscopes at the end. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if they resonate. Now, watching for your rising will tell you what area of life will be impacted by this eclipse. Watching for your sun sign can give you messages about your ego or how you're outwardly experiencing this energy. And watching for your moon sign can give you messages about your internal experience. Aries, there will be a death of an old system. This will do with a work pattern, a health habit, or some type of daily obligation. There were routines built on pressure that can no longer be sustained. Or there are systems that are inefficient and taking more energy than it gives back. This is where you want to release, redefine, and redesign. There is a karmic emotional weight that you don't have to carry anymore. It has to do with old family dynamics and family burdens. I think you're releasing a responsibility that was never yours to carry, and it's important to create and respect your boundaries here. Your inner world is like a key growth zone. Something is blooming from within, blossoming out. And I think it takes a lot of energy to manifest a new version of yourself, a new version of your reality. And so it's okay to be tired. It's okay if you need rest, if you need to recharge, or you want to be more in a hermit mode. But I feel like by unlocking something within yourself, you are unlocking progress everywhere else. I think there is a beautification in how you value yourself and how you value your partnerships. Some of you could be raising the financial status and standard. Some of you are seeking balance in close relationships. But I think your sense of self-worth and self-love is healing, and that is going to allow you to stabilize. Aries, I think you're doing a lot of psychological shedding control issues, identity patterns, subconscious habits and beliefs. I feel like you just no longer need to prove yourself to other people. You're like, you either see me or you don't. But there's this healing and this shedding happening in terms of how much love do you give to yourself versus how much love do you allow people to take from you. And love is something that's infinite. I feel like there could always be more made, but energy is also precious, and we want our energy to go into places that give back to us. Lastly, Aries, I think your mind is really sharp and you're getting a lot of insights and flashes of inspiration. You could be getting sudden realizations or sudden conversations that just shift everything for you. And I think you're realizing that you have a lot of support and compassion in your corner, more than you thought. Okay, Aries, let's do a quick card pull for you. You got King of Swords. This card says, head over heart, disciplined, truthful, honest, mental clarity, and authority. Taurus, you could be experiencing the death of an old desire. It could be a creative project or a creative pattern, a romantic desire, romantic dynamic. I think you're releasing the need to, ooh, my doggy just hopped up. Releasing the need to chase validation. You're releasing the need to perform or impress. I think you need to let those old, outdated patterns of pleasure and desire die out, so that way an authentic one can come through, one where you honor and respect yourself so much more. There is a karmic release here around old mental narratives or communication wounds, or you're just no longer carrying stories that were defensive or overly cautious, or like mindsets or habits in your nervous system that just had you hiding behind your walls. I think you're ready to feel safe. You're ready to know you are safe and to know you are protected. I think your future vision and your community are a key growth zone for you. Align with people who have, goals and who feel expansive, who open doors for you. There's a certain network or community or audience that might unlock your next chapter. Or maybe even just like a friend comes in and the things they say, the way they inspire you, unlocks a new chapter. I think your identity, your self-expression, your routines, your wellness, your health is all beautifying. I think you're refining how you present yourself, you're upgrading your routine, you're elevating your environment, your habits, your appearance. And it feels like there's a self-respect inside that then reflects in the outer world. You're still learning to shed control in your partnerships. You're still shedding power struggles in close relationships or unconscious habits of self-sabotage. I think you're also releasing the urge to control behind the scenes, control the outcome all the time. You're also receiving a lot of psychic downloads about money. There could be new ideas about income, or you're realizing that you are worth it. You can do it. You can go for this goal, or go for this job, or go for this business you want to build. And just pay attention to that sudden clarity. Your next financial move sounds like it's a really big deal. So I'd be paying attention to any downloads or insights you're getting about that. And I feel like your next financial move could come through any skill sets you have, any specialties, anything that makes you unique. Try to use those skills, offer them up, and see what kind of opportunities come to you through that. I feel like closed mouths don't get fed too. Use your voice, ask people if they know of any opportunities, talk to your communities, talk to your people. Okay, Taurus, let's pull a card for you. You got the Ace of Cups. I've been loving this card. This card says love, compassion, creativity, new feelings, spirituality, intuition, new baby, proposal, and marriage. Gemini. There's a death of an old foundation. Maybe it's a family dynamic, a living situation, an emotional coping pattern, but you are just releasing that. Maybe it's just been stressing you out. Let it collapse so new foundations can be built though. There's an emotional karmic release around money, around scarcity, self-worth. Those wounds are being dropped. And I think you're no longer tying your sense of value to overgiving or overworking. And you're allowing your nervous system to feel safe with stability, to allow in opportunities. No more self-sabotaging your growth. Your career is a focal point, okay? Your career, your public direction, those are key growth zones. And it's time to commit to something meaningful. It's time to realize what is that you want to do? Where do you want to expand? What do you want to take seriously? I think those insights are coming and it's going to be more clear to you. I think you're beautifying your inner world. You could be refining your private space, elevating your creative expression, investing more in solitude and pleasure without feeling guilty about it. And I think you are realizing there's beauty in the behind the scenes as well. Romance could also be healing, balancing, beautifying. You're also shedding financial control. I think you're still trying to work through rigid work grids, work habits, group dynamics, financial constraints. Could be working through exhaustion while still showing up and following your duties. That will eventually heal and balance out. Your intuition's really sharp right now, and I think you're getting sudden insights on who you're becoming, what do you need to do to be that person, and you're paying attention to how you speak about yourself, how you see yourself. Gemini, let's pull a card for you. You got Judgment, and this card says judgment, rebirth, inner calling, a new phase, absolution, reckoning, awakening, redemption, forgiveness, mercy. Cancer. You're going to experience the death of an old voice. This could be an outdated mindset, communication pattern, marketing style, way you show up on social media. If any of you use your voice for work, then the formatting for that could change. You could be releasing mental habits that keep you anxious or exhausted or overextended. You could be releasing patterns of over accommodating. You're ready for your words to carry more precision, more authority, and for it to sound like you. You're done sounding like someone else. There's a karmic release and karmic weight tied to identity and self-protection that is being dropped. Old versions of you that survived through caretaking or emotional labor, emotional armor, those things are dissolving, and you're allowing yourself to exist outside of those roles. Your belief system, your long-term direction, those are key growth zones for you right now. I think you're ready to commit to a bigger vision. You're ready to organize your path, maybe strategizing for your work or your business, going back to school, studying, coming up with like a study plan, or maybe a plan to invest, plan to travel, plan to just expand yourself in some type of way. Your friends and your living space, I think, are beautifying and elevating. I think you're surrounding yourself with just better people, better environments that feel calm and supportive. And there's beauty in your outer world, and it's helping you to stabilize. And I think that there's also beauty in your inner world stabilizing too. By that, I mean things are just beautiful on the inside and the outside. If they're not all the way there yet, like they're starting to. Some of you might be moving homes, redecorating homes. Your ego is also shedding when it comes to your career and pressures you put on yourself when it comes to career. I think you're shedding performance-based identity and pressure to create. I think you're no longer trying to prove yourself, prove your talent. You're just ready to just embody it, to just do it out of joy. And I think there's authority that comes from that. There's strength that comes from that. And power when you just like release the need for an applause. Instead, create from inspiration, from joy, from wanting to change someone's life, from empowerment. You don't always have to make pain your art. I think your intuition is on point. Your dreams are active. There's could be a lot of downloads and sudden insights that arrive, especially when you let yourself slow down and be in solitude. That's when the clarity surfaces. All right, Cancer, let's pull a card for you. You got Justice. This card says justice, fairness, truth, clarity, equality, balance, cause and effect, and law. Leo, there's a death of an old income pattern. Old financial mindsets and habits are ending. I think you're releasing ways of earning that asked you to deplete yourself. You're valuing your work more, your time and your energy more. And I think you have faith that there's better out there. Let old money habits and narratives die so you can rebuild in a way that is more sustainable. There's also a karmic emotional release. Old emotions, hidden griefs, things you didn't know you were carrying inside of you are being recognized and dropped. And this is one of the reasons you had burnout, is you were carrying this extra energy or this extra burden or emotion without realizing it, and it took more energy than you thought. So take time to rest, take time in privacy, take time to repair. I think a big focus point for you right now is your shared resources, your intimacy, your psychological and mental health. That is like a key growth zone. When you face your vulnerability there, when you direct your power intentionally there, something more, something bigger can return to you. But I think this is the foundation that unlocks expansion and transformation. I think you are refining your public image. You could be elevating or moving up in career. You could also just be polishing your messaging, your leadership, your career. But I think authority is growing. I think your skill sets are growing. I think you are unblocking any throat chakra blockages. I also think you're having to shed a little bit when it comes to control in the home and in the relationships. I think there are emotional patterns and really dogmatic beliefs that an old version of you put up. And I think you need to release your attachment to it, release the need to win, release the need to dominate. Allow those walls to come down, shed those walls. And I think growth comes through softening, especially softening when it comes to your home life and your family and your spiritual practices, your beliefs, your outlook on the world. I think there will be important insights and like messages about your future that arrives through like conversations, networks, text messages, friends. Pay attention to like the ideas being sparked by friends or collaborators or people in your community. Your next direction might even come from like working in a group. Okay, Leo, let's pull a card for you. You got the Six of Cups. This card says familiarity, happy memories, reminiscing, childhood memories, innocence, joy, and nostalgia. Virgo, I think you're shedding an identity maybe built on like old pain, old trauma, old control issues or boundary issues or perfection issues. Whatever that is, you're letting that old self dissolve and you're stepping into a role, into a present moment that you feel like you can truly be yourself, truly be authentic. Let your gift shine. It's great energy. Old friendship patterns, group dynamics, old loyalties, old coworkers, old people you collaborated with, those loyalties are being dropped if necessary. And you just don't need to carry the emotional weight for your circle anymore. So now you're ready to choose community that feels reciprocal. Partnership is a key growth zone. It's a key focus. When you approach your relationships with maturity, with softness, with understanding, I think everything else expands. You and your partner could be building and working on something together. There's a level of healing and destiny meeting here. Some of you could also be taking the next step in your relationships, getting engaged, having families, moving in together, things like that. Now, if any of you are in a relationship that is not for you, ain't no way. It is surviving March. I hate to say it. There's just such a concentrated energy in the sign of Pisces. It's either going to be used for the level up or it's going to be used to tear down what's not working. I think you're beautifying your spiritual practice and also your finances. Love this for any of you who are in the witchy community. But I think you're just redefining your philosophies, your values, your belief systems, and that's allowing you to elevate your income standard. You're also ready to invest in knowledge, invest in growth, invest in strengthening your earning power. And I think stability is growing here because your values and your resources are aligning and you're just figuring out what to get rid of, what to keep, and what to do with what you're going to keep. You need to shed a little bit of control, maybe at the workplace or in intimate situations or in like community situations. You could be having like sharp communication or miscommunication happening right now. Mercury retrograde, it's fine. Try your best to just speak with clarity, not intensity. Some of you might just be ready to like move out of these situations too. There's something about like the ecosystem and the people in the ecosystem that I don't like. And so you're still like shedding that away. You're getting lots of psychic downloads when it comes to your career too. There could be new professional ideas or professional opportunities that arrive quickly, or important conversations that shift, your long-term direction, hearing about, being able to move or level up or work with this person or get mentored by this person. I'm liking those kind of conversations. It's expansive conversations. And I think you're going to make a big public move even. All right, Virgo. Ooh, let's pull a card for you. That one wanted to come out. You got the Hermit. This card says soul searching, introspection, contemplation, wisdom, truth seeking, being alone, independence, inner guidance, meditation, and consciousness. Libra. There is a hidden coping mechanism or pattern or like this quiet form of self-sabotage that is ending. You are winning the battle there. And I think you are releasing overthinking and overworking and really getting to the root of what it is that you need to work on. What are you avoiding? What is like the meat and potatoes of it? Like what is essential to pour our energy into? And I think you need to be sober and clear as possible to make those changes and decisions. There's a emotional karmic release when it comes to your 10th house. Maybe any emotional pressure around career or reputation is being dropped, or if there's anything stressing you out, that might be getting dropped. Or maybe you no longer are carrying responsibilities that are outside of your pay grade or outside of your duty. I also think you're just getting more clear on your identity, who you are, who you want to be when you step out that door. I think your health is a focal point. Your daily work routines and workflows are key growth zones, and your routine is very spiritually aligned. And when it is, then everything else can stabilize. And I think you have to remember that discipline is about devotion. It's about self-love. It's not about restriction. I think that you are beautifying yourself, okay? Libra in the first house. I think you are refining how you share your resources. You're elevating your boundaries. You just could be polishing off your image or trying to polish off your connections. This is also a time where you're maybe like trying to organize and clear out any depths. But there's like a visible self-respect here. You're also shedding a little bit of control when it comes to finances and partnerships, maybe trusting your partner more when it comes to this stuff, or being less on them and critical and possessive about it and reactive about it. Maybe you're getting to the root of what are you really guarding, and maybe you're realizing it's already secure, and there's certain power struggles here that are ending. I think you're getting a lot of psychic downloads, and it comes when you change up your routine or you get out of your new environment. That's when you get those new visions, those new belief systems, those ideas being sparked. Or maybe when you travel, kind of, even if you're traveling to like the next town over, that's fine. That is when I think the ideas come through and the mental shift happens, and that mental shift opens new paths for you. All right, Libra, let's pull a card for you. You got the Two of Swords. This card says difficult decisions, weighing options, avoidance, deadlock. And I think this decision isn't about feeling ready. It's just about deciding that it's time to get a move on, and ready or not, like, let's go. Let's move on. Scorpio. This eclipse brings death of an old vision. So this could be a future goal or a friendship you had or a long-term plan, something about that. No go. I just think you're ready to release this because maybe you had this idea that if you follow this plan, then this is the only way to make your dreams come true. And the universe is trying to show you, no, it's not the only way. In fact, there is a better way. There's also this karmic emotional release when it comes to being right and feeling heard. When it comes to your inherited philosophies and any moral values or pressures you put on yourself, if you put any at all, and about living in your truth, even if other people don't believe your truth. Creativity, pleasure, authentic self-expression, those are key growth zones right now. When you allow joy to just come through, doors open up, life opens up, you get your spark back, and this is where passion restores your vitality. Pleasure restores your vitality. You need these things to recharge. I think you're beautifying your daily life and your relationships. Yes, certain friendships, relationships are out, but I think the ones that are staying are getting stronger and more cute and pleasurable and happy. I think you're refining your routines. You're bringing more beauty into the world. You're surrounding yourself with people who bring beauty into your world. And I think you're creating daily rituals to help you feel more calm. I think you got to work on the stress a little bit, Scorpio. But there's a softening happening behind the scenes here, a balancing that's happening behind the scenes. I think you're still shedding a lot of identity and financial control. I think you're shedding intense identities, intense environments that you put yourself around, pressure that you put on yourself. And I think you're no longer equating worth with how much you're doing, how much you're depleting yourself. You are learning that power and security that stabilizes when things are sustainable, and maybe what you do now and the work you do and the way you treat yourself or view yourself is not sustainable. I think you're getting a lot of psychic downloads around intimacy, money, who you can trust. I think you're paying attention to how you share, how you receive the output and input of your life. Is that fair? Like, are you getting back what you put out, or is there an imbalance there? And that imbalance could be with work, it could be with people, it could be with goals you have. But I think you're getting clarity, and that clarity leads to a rebalancing. And Scorpio, I think you have the resources that you will need. Okay, let's pull a card for you. You got Knight of Cups. This card says upright, creativity, romantic charm, imagination, beauty, knight in shining armor, following the heart, Prince Charming, and proposals. Sagittarius. You could be experiencing like death of an old status or public identity. It could be a career path, a title, or a role that you played in people's lives. Something about that is pivoting, and I think you're redefining what success means to you. And it might look different than those around you, but you know better than to build on pressure or external approval. There are also like karmic debts or karmic entanglements being dropped. I feel like you no longer have to carry the guilt or the obligation or the inherited burden. Also, like a lot of like weird psychic entanglements could also be dropped. It's a good time to do cord cutting. Also, cutting cords with like past traumas or dark stories. You just realize that's all irrelevant. There's a focus point for you when it comes to your home and your family, your inner stability. This is a key growth zone. This feels spiritually aligned and it feels like it will strengthen. Just continue to invest in it and give it time. I think your daily systems and your friendships are elevating. Surround yourself with good people and good routines. Like, that's all you have to do, and you'll start to feel more steady and supportive. I think you're still working on shedding or releasing any hidden like jealousy or pride or control or like ego blockages. I think some of you are still shedding like the inner child or like your immaturity and still trying to step into like these bigger roles that you know you're ready to take on. That will heal eventually. Let it ride its course. You could be receiving a lot of psychic downloads about your partner or partnership. Insights about your relationship are arriving quickly, like you're really seeing the truth about it. Pay attention to conversations and how that's shifting things. And if a new dynamic needs to begin, then that's fine. But that might be something to maybe sit and just get intentional with your partner and have that discussion about maybe what needs to change so that way you can both be a better support to each other. Or if you're single, then you might be getting insights about a new partnership and how you can be in alignment with that. Okay, Sagittarius, let's pull a card for you. You got Page of Cups. This card says creative opportunities, intuitive messages, curiosity, possibility, happy, surprise, dreamer, sensitivity, new love. Kind of love that. Capricorn, something doesn't go as planned. There could be like a death of like a long-term plan or an educational path or a philosophy or like a travel plan. You're releasing any rigid thinking. You're releasing rigid structures. You're basically taking the limits off of it completely and allowing growth. And I think this is growth in places where you are normally a stubborn bull about. But I think you're also gaining a new worldview. You might be gaining a new spiritual perspective or spiritual practice, following new religions, learning just about these new ways you can interpret the universe, yourself. What does it mean? What is a destiny? What is a purpose? There's also an old karmic emotional release here that has to do with relationships and why you enter relationships, why you have certain patterns. My ear's literally ringing as I say this. And if there's any like imbalances or you try to over accommodate, those types of things are being released here. And I think relationships are going to stabilize and responsibility is going to feel more shared. If any of you are caught up on your ex or whatever, I think you really get over them now. At least you should. Don't be Ronnie stuck on Sam. Okay. I think your communication style, your thinking, your mental health, your nervous system, those are all key growth zones right now that are ready to be like reprogrammed. Redefine how you speak, how you process information, how you carry emotional weight. What do you carry with you? Like, how's your brain's chemistry? How's your body's chemistry? Is all that in alignment and in order as the outside world is for you? Some of you also have skill sets that you need to invest in. That is also a focal point. You could be beautifying or redefining how you express yourself, your creative life, your career life, elevating your public image. You could be rebranding or just reintroducing yourself. I feel like you're more polished, you're more ambitious, you are more intentional, and your authority is ready to strengthen. I think you're still doing shadow work and shedding when it comes to your resources and your home life. You could be working through power struggles in friendships and family dynamics. Maybe you're trying to pull back from micromanaging these things, micromanaging the home, micromanaging like what people say and think about you. But I think your stability grows when you just kind of step back from these things. I think you're also getting a lot of downloads about your health, your workflow, your productivity, how you can be more efficient, how you can simplify your routine, how you can waste less. Okay, Capricorn, let's pull a card for you. You got the High Priestess. This card says intuition, sacred knowledge, the subconscious, divine feminine, trust yourself, sensitivity, purity, and high morale. Aquarius. This eclipse brings in a death of an old attachment. It could be a financial tie, an emotional bond, a control dynamic, a freaking old ex, old friend, something that probably started from 2017, 2018. Anyway, you're releasing that attachment. It no longer has power over you. It's no longer draining you. I feel like you're getting your autonomy back. There's also a karmic emotional release when it comes to what's stored in your body, the stresses, the anxieties, the worries, the stories, the happiness, all of that were stored in our body. I think that's coming up to be released. And if there's an imbalance in like your work life and your personal life, I think that's being handled. Try to simplify your routines, protect your energy, protect your health. I think your finances is definitely a focus point. Your income, your sense of self-worth, those are all key growth zones. And when you strengthen your sense of self-worth, then you start to strengthen the stability that you can hold. I think this is not the time to make yourself small. This is not the time to undervalue yourself. Like, there's absolutely nothing spiritual about that. I think you're also beautifying your home life and your mind. You're elevating your mind, your belief systems. You are finding more peace there, creating a home that feels more peaceful and grounded and sturdy. A home that expands your perspective, a home where you can dream, where you can be creative, a home that is comfortable. A place where you can reflect and gather wisdom. I think all of that is getting more beautiful. You could be shedding any communication styles, or if you've been like reactive to something, I think you're handling that and you're learning to shed that too. You could also be shedding any like public intensity you've been facing or trying to heal or work through, or if there's any like weird aggressions in like the workplace. I think that is subsiding and shedding. You could also just be shedding old roles. I can imagine some of you guys completely switching jobs, if not switching jobs, and elevating in your job. I think you're getting a lot of psychic downloads too around romance. You could be getting new ideas about love, creativity, projects. Some of you might be getting married. Some of you might be starting families. Pay attention to that. Flirt with that. Let that inspire you. Let that open doors of joy for you. All right, Aquarius. Let's pull a card for you. We got the Six of Pentacles. It says receiving, sharing wealth, generosity, and charity. Pisces. There is a death of an old relationship pattern here. It could be a partnership dynamic or certain expectations you have within your partnerships that are ending and just being redefined. You're releasing ways of relating to other people that maybe you just don't need anymore. Like if you've related to people on like trauma bonding and shadow work and whatnot, like why not relate to people based on light things now, like what you love, what you're passionate about? I think old relationship contracts and karmas are dissolving too. Cut those cords. There's an emotional release here around love, creativity, validation, being seen. I think you're no longer chasing affection. You're no longer needing to prove your talent. You're ready to just enjoy your talent. Pisces, your identity is a key growth zone. The way you view yourself is a focus point. Like when you commit to who you are becoming and you organize every area of life around that commitment, there is this personal expansion that can come through. I think you're beautifying the way you speak and how you share your power. I think you're elevating your conversations and you're creating abundance and balance through your words and through your exchanges, and you're being more intentional with who you exchange your energy with, both financial and emotional energy. And I think there's a lot of grace that comes through dialogue that you have, healing conversations that come through. I think you're still shedding any financial wounds and home wounds. I think you're still releasing any rigid beliefs you have around money and self-reliance, but those things are healing. I think you're getting a lot of insights around your family, your living arrangements, home life, moving, so pay attention to that. It's a renewal energy here. Like if you're not relocating, then do like redecorate your space to just invite in that new energy. Okay, Pisces, let's pull a card for you. You got the Eight of Pentacles. This card says diligence, passion, high standards, apprenticeship, mastery, skill development, repetitive tasks.